Tonight, meeting to resolve industrial dispute between the Kaduna State Government and Nigeria Labour Congress ends in disagreement. 10-man committee set up to resolve the differences. Ban on open cattle grazing irreversible, declares Governor Akeredolu, as Governor Umahi says opponents of the ban are endorsing killings by foreign herders. At least 60 people killed across 3 communities as the farmer herder crisis spills into Taraba State and Benue State, from Benue State. And Israel and Gaza militants agree to a ceasefire amid international pressure to end their 11-day-old conflict. Plus business, sports news from Abuja, and later international news from our London studio.
On business news tonight, federal government approves all 4 international airports as special economic zones.
For the impasse between the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Kaduna State Government now has a clear direction after today's conciliatory meeting on the instance of the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige. Although the Kaduna State Government officials disagree with Labour's position, the conciliator resolved to constitute a 10-man committee comprising 6 state government officials and 3 officers from the Labour movement to discuss and resolve the impasse. There is also soft landing for everyone who participated in the warning strike, which is that the state government will not victimize any of them.
Officials of the Kaduna State Government and leaders of the Nigeria Labour Congress finally meeting at a roundtable in Abuja after 3 days of protest over what the workers say is an unlawful sack of the members in the state. The conciliator is the Minister of Labour and Employment. He sets the ground rule for the discussion, warning that it will not hesitate to escalate the matter to the National Industrial Court if parties fail to resolve the impasse.
If we are unable to make headway, the Trade Dispute Act is clear. It tells me what to do. And I will not hesitate to invoke that section so that people can go to the higher conciliatory authorities, which are the Industrial Arbitration Panel and the National Industrial Court.
The Kaduna State Commissioner for Local Government Affairs highlights some of the activities of the state government, insisting that the state prioritizes workers' welfare. But the NSA president insists that the action of his members was a last resort after several efforts to dialogue failed.
The current government of Kaduna State was elected on a platform of change that recognized the central role of the public service in delivering public goods and promoting public governance.
So this action was like a matter of last resort because we thought that workers had been thrown out and there was nobody to speak for them.
The meeting then enters into a closed-door session, and some moments later, the Minister of Labour reads out the communique announcing an agreement to set up a 10-man committee to resolve the impasse.
The meeting resolved, 1, to constitute a 10-man bipartite committee to resolve this impasse between the state government and the NSC.
Parties then put pen to paper, and a memorandum of understanding is signed, putting to rest the strike and protest that almost crippled economic activities in Kaduna State for 3 days. But for how long will these truce last? This is one question that the newly constituted committee is expected to answer when it reports back on the 25th of May 2021.
In other news, for Governor Akeredolu of Ondo State, the decision of the Southern State Governors Forum banning open cattle grazing is irreversible and will be enforced. The governor, who is also the chairman of the forum, was reacting to comments by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Bubakar Malami, who compared the Southern Governor's decision to the banning of spare parts dealers from their trade. He describes the position of the AGF as most unfortunate, being unable to distill issues as expected of a senior advocate. In the words of the Ondo State Governor, nothing can be more disconcerting. This outburst should ordinarily not elicit response from reasonable people who know the distinction between a legitimate business that is not in any way injurious and certain predilection for anarchy, clinging to an anachronistic model of animal husbandry, which is evidently injurious to harmonious relationship between the herders and the farmers, as well as the local populace, is wicked and arrogant. According to him, it betrays a terrible mindset to argue that banning open cattle grazing, which has led to loss of lives, farmlands and property, and engendered untold hardship on host communities, atrocities, is comparable to banning and buying and selling of auto parts. Governor Akeredolu challenges Mr. Malami's approach over the legality of the laws of the respective states banning open grazing and the decision of the Southern Governors Forum, which he says was taken in the interest of the people. The incursion of foreign herders into the country is still generating concerns. And today, the governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, raised alarm that these herders are still causing mayhem in the country. The governor explains that the southern region does not have grazing routes for cattle to move freely without affecting other inhabitants, and that the incursion has given armed foreign herders the freedom to attack innocent people. He believes funding of cattle ranches through the Federation account is needed now.
In the southeast, you don't have cattle routes. But in the north, we have cattle routes. And so nobody is going to say ban, open grazing, in some areas in the north where there are cattle routes, where they move constitutionally from one point to the other. But in the south, there is no cattle route. And so for you to move from one point to the other, you have to move through farms. You have to move through, population, dense areas. And this is not very good. And that's what the southern governors and of course Southeast in particular are saying. Let's go back to our traditional method of relationship. We will no longer allow you to take your cattle from one local government to the other. And the implication is that these foreign headers also come in terms of mobile headers. We take A47. So that is a source of conflict. So anybody that is saying that there should be no ban on this thing is, on the other hand, saying that, look, these killings will continue. And that's what gave birth to ESN. Whether we support it as governors, we don't. But the people tend to support it because of the foreign headers that pretend that they are raiding cattle and then they are killing. In my own village, a white man was kidnapped in my village that's doing construction, by these foreign headers. And we've encouraged the federal government, let's treat this cattle raiding as a business. Take money from the federation account and develop ranches where they are designated ranches, especially in the north. And the northern governors are willing, but it's being frustrated.
And more support is trailing the Southern Governor's decision to ban open grazing. The latest is from the Chairman, Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, Senator Walid Jibrin, who says the practice of open grazing is no longer feasible and may not be accommodated in the 21st century. Senator Jibrin, who is also the national patron of Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, notes that with the current international concern on cattle rearing in Africa, especially Nigeria, as well as population growth, there is need to look at how best the practice will be carried out successfully. The elder statesman explains that Nigeria cannot continue to practice open grazing when other African countries are shunning the practice.
The party is getting outdated internationally and is therefore necessary for Nigeria, especially Fulani race, to study critically the decision open grading, believing that the 21st century may never accommodate it. When you look at the passage of open grading in Nigeria compared with what's happening internationally, Nigeria can never continue with the traditional open grazing practice. In order to effect a change, the Fulani allies should be bold enough to come out with alternative to open grazing and advance the Fulani in Nigeria accordingly. Most importantly, the Bureau Fulani Association, with membership of up to 50 members, must come together and talk with one voice on this decision of open grazing and not necessarily allow any group to come out to do it for them. There's so much condemnation for Nigerian governors, northern governors, southern governors, etc. This group at Indwan should never be condemned because, or rather must be praised for their good intention.
With a growing debate on the ban on open grazing, the recent farmer-herder crisis that spilled into Taraba state has left no fewer than 60 people dead across 3 communities of the state. The crisis began in Torodonga community of Katsina Ala local government area of Benue state and escalated into Taraba, with herdsmen and the Tiv people in Bali local government area slugging it out.
It's a case of retaliation by herdsmen in Bali local government area in the Tiv tribe in Taraba state, triggered by an attack on the herdsmen in Katsina Ala local government area in Benue state. These series of attacks and counterattacks have so far affected 3 communities in Taraba state, claiming no fewer than 60 lives and thousands displaced. Some displaced persons have delivered babies at IDP camps with little or no food to eat.
We are the indigenous Tiv of Taraba state. We are not Tiv of Benue state. So for them to come and retaliate on us, the Tiv of Taraba, that is the unfortunate thing that I am questioning.
The leadership of the Fulani herdsmen says it's called its people to order, but seeks government's intervention to avert further breakdown of law and order.
Whoever is dead and cannot be brought back to life. We have lost our cattle as well. All we want government to do is to reduce the losses we incurred and help us stand to our feet again. We are suffering and need assistance.
The state government, in its efforts to restore peace, visited some camps in Jitau and Bali communities and gave assurances that measures are being put in place to avoid an escalation of the conflict.
All the crises that are taking place is an escalation of crisis somewhere else. Now I have taken a very strong and a serious measure. After all this, I will call all the leaders of the tribes and all our traditional leaders here in Bali local government. I will bring out a very strong control strategies so as to see that this thing will not happen again.
The police also calls for calm.
We are working on our intelligence as to know who are those people who are behind the crisis, the sponsors, of course the instigators, and the shadow parties that are probably trying to benefit from the crisis so that we can ensure that they are brought to book.
Clashes between farmers and herders in Taraba and Benue states usually occur at the onset of the rainy season. The people remain hopeful that both sides will rework their strategy to bring a lasting solution.
In part 2, after the break, the military speaks on its successes in the nation's fight against insecurity, plus Boko Haram leader Abubakar Shekau reportedly dead after ISWAP invaded his base in Sambisa forest. Stay with us. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Meeting to resolve industrial dispute between the Kaduna State Government and Nigeria Labour Congress ends in disagreement. 10-man committee set up to resolve the differences. ban on open cattle grazing irreversible, declares Governor Akeredolu, as Governor Umahi says opponents of the ban are endorsing killings by foreign herders. At least 60 people killed across 3 communities as the farmer-herder crisis spills into Taraba State from Benue State. And Israel and Gaza militants agree to a ceasefire amid international pressure to end their 11-day-old conflict. Staying with security, the military high command is reaffirming commitment to achieving sustainable peace and to ensure normalcy returns to all troubled zones and tackles the myriad of security challenges confronting the country. These are the words of assurance from the Acting Director of Defense Media Operations, Brigadier General Bernard Onyoko, who says the armed forces remains resolute in its operations and is currently engaging in a series of kinetic and non-kinetic operations against insurgents and bandits.
As a result of these operations, our troops neutralized scores of terrorists and bandits, including senior Boko Haram and Islamic State of West African Province terrorists, and the Eastern Security Network commanders, as well as major bandit leaders. Similarly, many of their fighters were incapacitated and their camps destroyed through artillery and air bombardments. Also, troops rescued several kidnapped victims and arrested bandits and kidnappers, informants and collaborators in different parts of the country. Our operations also inhibited activities of economic saboteurs, as well as exposed and forestalled other criminal activities. Troops also recovered several large caches of arms and ammunition, as well as equipment, vehicles, and livestock within the period. In the maritime domain, our troops disrupted smuggling activities, immobilized illegal oil refining sites, arrested some perpetrators, seized illegally imported rice and other contraband goods, as well as recovered some petroleum products. Although within this period also, some of our personnel paid the supreme price in the course of these operations. Our dogged troops consistently demonstrated gallantry and resilience.
Meanwhile, a fresh indication that the military is perhaps making headway in the fight against Boko Haram insurgents is the news of the death of the notorious Boko Haram leader, Abubakar Shekau. He reportedly died after surrendering to ISWAP fighters in the Sambisa forest in Borno State. Shekau was said to have blown himself up yesterday after his base was raided by ISWAP militants, who tracked him down to his stronghold and engaged in a gun battle with his bodyguards before venturing to capture the Boko Haram leader. Online platform Humangle has it that after his bodyguards were subdued, Shekau surrendered and was asked to step down and order his group to declare their loyalty to ISWAP. Apparently opposed to the idea, Shekau was said to have blown himself up, killing some others around him in the process. Shekau had taken over the leadership of Boko Haram following the death of its founder, Muhammad Yusuf. He thereafter launched a full-scale campaign against the Nigerian state. A faction later broke away from the group in 2016 after pledging allegiance to the Islamic State. The military had at several times claimed to have killed Shekau, but the terrorist leader had released videos after such claims to denounce it and insisted that he was still alive. The federal government is pledging to sustain and improve the equipment disposition of the armed forces to enhance their output, professionalism and service delivery. The Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Magashi, who spoke on behalf of the President, gave this assurance today at the official induction of 3 additional FJ-17 Thunder aircraft in Benue State, bringing the total number of combat and operational aircraft to 26. He says the new platforms will boost the operations of the military in the fight against terrorists, bandits, and other criminal groups.
One of the new FJ-17 Thunder aircrafts ready for induction in Benue State by President Muhammadu Buhari, moving on the runway. The president, who is represented by the Minister of Defense, arrives at the flight line of the Tactical Air Command Makadi along with senior military officers and inspects a parade before the commencement of the ceremony. At the ceremony, which had the Chief of Army Staff, the Benue State Governor, foreign experts, and other guests in attendance, the Chief of Army Staff reveals how the new Thunder aircrafts, which are 3 in number, will boost the fight against insecurity.
These aircraft have significantly boosted our operational effectiveness in the fight to defeat all threats to the nation and its citizens. In this wise, through synergy with surface forces, the freedom of action of insurgents and terrorists in the northeast have been effectively contained.
The Minister of Defense takes a tour of the new platforms as he's briefed by officers on how they work. He then goes on to read the President's address, pointing out his promise to equip the armed forces. Hence, his fulfillment of the new aircrafts and other new military equipment on display.
This induction ceremony is also most rewarding to me because it marks another step in the fulfillment of one of my promises which I made at the beginning of my administration. That is to improve the infrastructure and equipment dispositions of the armed forces and other security agencies.
Mobile tire bay. This can be taken to operation ground where aircraft like ATR, Alpha Jet, F7 and newly inducted GF-17 can get their will done.
Although the event is more of a technical presentation of new strategies on how to deal with insurgency, the Benue State Governor, Samuel Otom, applauds the federal government's investment in military hardware.
This kind of massive investment in security, I believe that by the grace of God, we are going to surmount the security challenges that we have in this country.
The Minister of Defense then performs the induction as the aircrafts take to the skies. The war against insurgency isn't over. It is expected that the military will leverage on government's continuous funding for greater performance that will instill confidence of Nigerians.
News just in says bandits have killed the eldest son of the Emir of Kodangora, Alhaji Bashir Saidu Namaska, in his father's farm alongside other workers on the farm located in Kodangora in Niger State. The Emir's son was the Sardauna of Kodangora and had been holding fort for his father, the Sarkin Sudan, who is said to have been sick for some months now. After he was shot by the bandits, the Emir's son was reportedly rushed to hospital but was confirmed dead on arrival. There are also reports that the bandits abducted some persons on their way out of the town. Hopefully Gloria has more cheery news on the news at 10, especially with the President's return. Hi, Gloria.
Hello, Amarachi. Good to see you. The President is back in the country after attending the Financing Africa Summit in France. President Muhammadu Buhari arrived in Abuja this afternoon and was received by senior government officials, including his Chief of Staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari. While in Paris, he had a special meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron on the fight against insurgency and the need to reclaim the Lake Chad Basin. At the Financing Africa Summit, President Muhammadu Buhari advocated the need for global powers to grant Africa total debt relief in order to cushion the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. He also met with the chief executives of some top-flight organizations, including Total, on the sidelines of the summit. The president left Abuja on Sunday. To politics, Cross River State Governor Ben Ayade has dumped the main opposition People's Democratic Party for the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. Governor Ayade announced his decision today at a meeting with 6 APC governors who visited him at the government house in Calabar. He was received into the party by the chairman of the Caretaker Committee and Governor of Yobe State, May Mala Buni, alongside governors of Kebbi, Imo, Yobe, Plateau, Jigawa and Ekiti states.
Having seen the sincerity and commitment of Mr. President, having seen the progress attained so far, having seen the accelerated tension occasioned by the increasing social media manipulation to create a level of hysteria, having recognized the challenges of our youths and issues of unemployment and the associated challenges therefrom, it's my responsibility as the leader of the party in Cross River State, as the leader of the people in Cross River State from the political perspective, to do all I can to assist Mr. President succeed. It is in this process and recognizing the role of Cross River State, a state that has been reduced to want in body, in spirit, and in soul, a state whose revenue and resources have been taken, a state whose territorial boundaries have been interfered with. It's my responsibility to resocket Cross River State to the center. I therefore, on behalf of the entire people of Cross River State, to the extent that believe in the philosophy and idea of peace and unity, that Cross River State is today formally declared as an APC state.
I'm here on behalf of the APC family to welcome His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Cross River State, Professor Ben Ayade, formally into APC. As from today, he is the leader of the party, APC, in Cross River State.
Meanwhile, Governor Ayade's decision appears not to have ruffled the People's Democratic Party, PDP, as the party is calling on its members in Cross River State to remain united and asked all critical stakeholders to immediately pull together and ensure that every structure of the PDP in the state remains intact. The party said in a statement that it wishes Governor Ayade well in his new political sojourn as well as in his future endeavors. Meanwhile, the National Security Secretary of the APC, Senator John Akpan-Odoyedege, has described the PDP as a sinking wreckage. He commended Governor Ayade's action, describing it as a wise and timely decision to leave a dead party and join a living and thriving party. When the news at 10 returns, federal government approves all 4 international airports in the country as special economic zones. That's in business news. Please join us again. Welcome back to the news at 10, coming to you live from Channels Television. There is a renewed effort to improve food security in Nigeria, and Walcott Rice Limited Mills is part of this initiative, following the latest partnership with the United States government. The chairman of Walcott Rice, Mr. Farouk Gumel, says the project will create jobs for over 60,000 persons in the West African sub-region, with 2,000 of those jobs domiciled in Nigeria.
This is the popular Walcott Rice Mills, one of the biggest mills in the country. Officials of the Kebbi State government and the U.S. Embassy are here on a visit to promote sustainable partnership.
Ambassador to the United States of America to Nigeria.
The Kebbi State governor expresses delight in the partnership between USAID and Walcott, as he insists that it will help in improving agricultural activities in the state.
Kebbi has a claim of the pride of place in what they do because of the value addition, the support they give to the state economy, and the tremendous contribution they are making to economic output in the state.
On her part, the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria explains that her government is interested in strengthening the relationship with Nigeria, as well as boosting its partnership in diverse areas.
The partnership between the United States and Walcott was the first of 7 co-investment agreements the West Africa Trade and Investment Hub, indeed, has initiated to harness the power of the private sector and to improve agricultural production in Nigeria.
The chairman of Walcott acknowledges the ambassador's visit as a morale booster, while the project manager expresses optimism over the partnership.
It gives us a lot of encouragement that people have taken notice of what we've been doing, and it further enhances our own belief that the investments we've been making are worth it, and we will continue to do more. So the more people that take the time and put in the efforts to come out there and see what we're doing, the more energy and the more motivation we get to do more things.
We're very hopeful that this project, will drive sustainability, will drive impact across several smallholder communities, help them expand local production, and help them earn more, and improve their livelihoods.
The Kebbi State Governor is happy about the USAID partnership with WACOT, knowing the capacity and commitment of the firm in improving agricultural activities and helping grassroots farmers. But he insists that quality output and its sustainability is also a key area of the partnership, through which the rural farmer will be empowered with high-yield seedlings for greater output.
That's it from the nation's capital. It's back now to Amarachi for more on the news at 10.
Thanks, Gloria. And without safety and security, investment in infrastructure development amounts to a waste of efforts. That's the position of the Adamawa State Governor, Umar Fintere, during the commissioning of a 3.5-kilometer road in Numan local government area. He was joined by the Governor of Gombe State, with whom he met community leaders to proffer solution to communal clashes affecting communities in both states.
Students and pupils from schools in Numan local government area of Adamawa State queue up in anticipation of the arrival of their governor, Umar Fintere. The governor arrives to the reception of a jubilant crowd in company of his Gombe State counterpart. The event is the commissioning of a 3.5-kilometer township road constructed by the Adamawa State government. The road may have got a facelift, but this wasn't always the case, as it was flood-prone whenever it rained.
The construction of this road that is about to be commissioned commenced on the 10th of August 2020 and completed weeks ahead of deadline. It is a 3.5 kilometer township road with a 10.3 meters wide and appropriate side drains and the nylon asphalt to top it up.
The Gombe State Governor, Mohammed Yahya, commends these efforts, asking for more support for the host governor.
In some places, people are drumming, beating the drums of war, the drums of separation, and the drums of secession. Here, we are beating the drums of celebration, we are beating the drums of success, and we are beating the drums of unity. That is what Nigeria should be.
Governor Fintere says the road is just one among many other projects built for commissioning in the coming days.
We have delivered on this road, which has been a nightmare to the residents of Numan and their visitors. More importantly, tremendous progress is being recorded on the renovation and rehabilitation of Numan General Hospital. Work on the new Lamurde Cottage Hospital has reached advanced stage.
While they cut the tape, the governor stresses on the need for peace between Lunguda and Waja neighboring communities from both states. After a security meeting among traditional, religious and security operatives, they announced a disbandment of all militia groups in both states.
The two communities cannot be separated, having lived and intermarried for centuries. That all internally displaced persons and camps should be closed within the next 1 week, and that people be returned back to their homes.
In addition to this announcement, they are setting up a committee to sustain the peace. They expect this meeting will birth.
Time now for business news. Here's Anne Wawodo.
Thank you, Marachi. Hello and welcome to Business News. We begin with the story on President Muhammadu Buhari approving 4 Nigerian international airports as special economic zones. According to the Minister of Aviation, Mr. Hadi Sirika, the airports are Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos, Aminu Kano International Airport in Kano, Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja, and the Port Harcourt International Airport. The airports will offer economic advantages like tax incentives and lower tariffs to businesses. The Nigeria LNG has officially opened its corporate head office in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, as part of efforts to establish a presence in their host state. According to the gas company, the move will help end the era of operating from other areas, stating that River State remains safe for business.
The idea of this smart building, which serves as the corporate head office of the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas, was conceived 10 years ago. It's now complete and ready for use.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our...
The commissioning is a high-profile event, as Governor Nyesom Wike of River State and industry giants are in attendance, both physically and virtually. A former managing director of the NLNG speaks on the journey from conception to actualization.
It took Nigeria LNG 10 years from incorporation to the shipment of the first LNG cargo. It took Nigeria LNG 10 years from the vision of a corporate head office to the commissioning.
The deputy managing director explains the components of the building.
The amenities here include a sporting cum recreational hall, multipurpose halls, banking halls, a filling station, a standard sick bay, a library.
The managing director and CEO highlights the successes of the company.
We have introduced the NLNG Overseas Postgraduate Scholarship Program that has sponsored already over 75 Nigerian youths to acquire specialized training in top universities of the United Kingdom.
Minister of State for Petroleum commends the organization for its successes.
The NLNG has demonstrated its commitment to corporate excellence by situating its corporate head office in the state where it operates.
Governor Wike calls on other multinationals operational in the state and are yet to have their headquarters in Port Harcourt to do so.
If River State is not safe, why would LNG be operating in River State and having their headquarters in River State? Those proponents of insecurity, please try to have a second thought.
The building is officially commissioned and is followed by a tour. The presence of NLNG office in Port Harcourt has also generated employment opportunities for indigents of the host communities of Amadiama and Ogunabali.
The Lagos Marriott Hotel Ikeja, a 250-bed, 5-star hotel located in Lagos, has formally opened to the public. The hotel is a product of a partnership between the renowned global hotel brand Marriott International and Cyfex Group, a conglomerate with investments in various sectors of Nigeria's economy. At the ceremony held in Lagos, the executive vice chairman of the Cyfex Group, Dr. Taiwo Afolabi, says the hotel is set to provide guests world-class hospitality and super customer satisfaction.
It stands imposing on Joel Ogunaike streets in Ikeja, GRA, Lagos. Built on 11 floors with 206 standard rooms, 44 suites with 3 in the presidential category, it's the Lagos Marriott Hotel Ikeja, a partnership between the global hotel brand Marriott International and the Cyfex Group.
It's the physical manifestation of a vision which is almost a decade old. Nigerians deserve these premium services, and that is exactly what this new hotel is set to offer Nigerians as for today.
For the formal opening, traditional rulers, former presidents, former governors, serving ministers, and the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, gathered to applaud the ingenuity behind the project.
I'm challenging him, and I can assure him that we will look for a land, we'll look for a space that will be facing Atlantic Ocean, because that is really what international tourism is all about.
It's also the harbinger of the good news that the nation's hospitality industry is beginning to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic that ravaged the world.
The hotel will cater for small and large-scale events with 1,380 square meters of sophisticated event space, including the largest ballroom in the area, 6 breakout rooms, and 9 event rooms. For the global hotel brand Marriott International, premium hospitality will be served here.
Lagosians will love what this hotel has to offer. From our great room all the way through to the different restaurants. The Azure Grill, which is really tailored around Nigerian cuisine, specifically your suyas, your grilled fish, as we know it locally, your point and kill.
The Marriott Hotel Ikeja boasts of additional modern facilities, which includes an exclusive crew lounge, VIP lounges, and a 400-capacity car park, and it's just 15 minutes from the Murtala Mohammed International Airport. The NSE All-Share Index dipped further at the close of trade today, mounting more pressure on the market capitalization. Ovie Bikomo has the details.
A day after the brutal 1.48% single-day drop in the all-share index, the domestic stock market continues to tread southwards as investors extend sell pressure for a 4th consecutive session. These appear to be uncertain times for the equities market as its main index dropped further today, but by a milder 0.30% margin, while the total value of listed equities fell below the 20 trillion naira level, down by 41 billion naira. The overall performance was largely affected by the 1.87% drop in the share price of Dangote Cement, which also pulled the industrial goods counter back by 0.89%, while the losses from Axis Bank, UBA, and some Tier 1 lenders took a toll on their sector's performance. The stock market might be deep in the red for now, but at the same time, that signals an opportunity for new investors to take advantage of the lower price of some high-value stocks, which are sure to give a good return on investment, which Nigeria's stock market has been reputed in the recent times. So let's continue to keep high expectations for a quick rebound in the coming sessions. That's all for the stock market report. I'm Ovie Bikomo.
Thanks for watching Business News Tonight. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Back to you, Marachi.
Not long after both sides agreed a ceasefire, the Israeli military said warning sirens were sounding in Israel, indicating that rockets had been fired from Gaza. And Palestinian media in Gaza also reported fresh airstrikes in the territory. A couple of hours ago, the Israeli Security Cabinet confirmed a ceasefire with Palestinian militant group Hamas, but not the timing, which it says will take effect at a later date. Salman Pusey has other international stories.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. In the US, the Democrat-controlled House of Representatives has voted for a commission to investigate the Capitol riot.
And how we make matters right from what happened on January 6th.
35 Republicans defied their party leaders and former President Donald Trump in siding with Democrats to establish the inquiry. The bill now looks likely to pass the upper chamber. The inquiry would establish a 10-member body evenly split between the two main parties that would make recommendations by the end of the year on how to prevent any repeat of the Capitol invasion. An inquiry has found that the BBC covered up the tactics journalist Martin Bashir used to secure his famous 1995 interview with Princess Diana. A report about how the interview was secured has been published with a retired judge who led the inquiry, saying the BBC fell short of the high standards of integrity and transparency which are its hallmark. Princess Diana's interview with Martin Bashir for Panorama was a huge scoop for the broadcaster. It was the first time a serving royal had spoken so openly about life within the royal family. The BBC said the report showed clear failings and has apologised. A French appeal court has decided that more than 2,500 women who were victims of a scandal involving breast implants produced by a French company called PIP should receive compensation. Between 2001 and 2010, the substandard implants were manufactured by the French company, which was liquidated in 2010 and its founder given a prison sentence after it emerged the implants were filled with cheap industrial-grade silicone, which was not cleared for human use. It is estimated up to 400,000 women worldwide have received the illegal implants. Spain's defense minister has accused Morocco of aggression and blackmail after more than 8,000 migrants poured into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. Margarita Robles said during an interview with Spanish public radio that it was an aggression of Spanish borders, that this in international law is unacceptable. She also added that Morocco was using minors. Over 8,000 people have crossed into Ceuta by swimming or on small inflatable boats. The majority are Moroccans. An estimated 5,600 migrants have already been sent back. Special Belgian police units are searching for a heavily armed soldier with far-right views who they believe poses a serious threat. The suspect has been named as Jurgen Konings, a military shooting instructor who took weapons from a barracks. He is said to have made threats in the past against virologist Mark van Ranst, who led Belgium's public health response to the coronavirus. Latest reports say as many as 350 police and some military have been deployed in and around a national park near the Dutch border. The US's top aid official has tweeted a warning that there is extreme hunger in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region. Samantha Power said the US's Food Monitoring Emergency Agency had detected a Category 5 emergency, adding that there is no Category 6. Ms. Power also called for an end to the fighting and access for aid workers. According to the UN World Food Programme, 5.2 million people are in need of food assistance in Tigray. And finally, the French pianist Eric Arts has performed in his first concert in 7 months in Geneva. Illuminated by dozens of candles on stage, the artist decided to trade Chopin and Beethoven for anime music from classics such as Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon in front of an audience of 50 people. It comes as Switzerland has further eased COVID-19 restrictions, allowing concert venues to reopen. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Manchester City FC defender Ruben Dias has been voted the Football Writers Association's Footballer of the Year. Now, the Portugal international was a comfortable winner ahead of Tottenham Hotspur forward Harry Kane and Man City teammate Kevin De Bruyne. That sports news is back to March.
And the main news again, a meeting to resolve industrial dispute between the Kaduna State government and Nigeria Labour Congress ended in disagreement. A 10-man committee was set up to resolve the differences. And that's it on the news at 10. Thanks for watching. I'm Rachi Ubani. Good night.